Welcome to how to read inequality symbols. The most common symbol you're used to is the equal sign, but we also have a couple other symbols. We have greater than, as in 3 is greater than 2. We read from left to right, so the equal sign, where both ends are equal distance from each other, represents equal, whereas the greater than, going from left to right, the left-hand side that we first approach is further apart than the right-hand side. So this is a greater than symbol. We could put a bar under it, and then it's greater than or equal to. We could also reverse it. 2 is less than 3. Going from left to right, 2 is less than 3. The two ends of the equal sign, the two rays are now touching, and on the right side, they're further apart. So this is less than, because they are closer together. If we put a line under it, it's or equal to. There's only 2 times you can flip an inequality. Only 2 rules. One is if you were to divide or multiply by a negative number. For example, if we say that 2 is less than 3, but we were to multiply both sides by, let's say, a negative 2, then the result would be that negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, and negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. This calls for us to switch or flip the inequality sign. What was less than is now greater than. Negative 4 is greater than negative 6. And we can prove this is true because anything that is greater than is to the right on the number line. And if we were to do a number line right here and have 0 right here, we'd have negative 6 about here and negative 4 about here. Negative 4 is larger than negative 6. And so the flip of the sign still makes sense once we multiply or divide by a negative number. The second way of flipping the inequality sign is called, and it's a very fancy word here, the symmetrical property of inequality. For example, I'm not a great artist, but if I were to say that 1 apple is less than 2 apples, and they're approximately the same size, you would agree. The symmetry property allows me to flip this. And so I flip it like a pancake, and now the inequality sign switched, but both ends switched as well. And it's still true. 2 apples are greater than 1 apple. This symmetrical property allows us that if we end up with a situation that says something like 3 is greater than 2, we can symmetrically flip it so that the 2 is over here, the 3 is over here, and the inequality sign switches. 2 is less than 3. So 3 is greater than 2 is the same as 2 is less than 3. You could also, without flipping it, just read it forward and backwards. 3 is greater than 2, and going backwards, 2 is less than 3. So the symmetrical property of inequality allows us to write it in reverse, and it also allows us to read it in reverse. This will become much more handy when we say something like x is greater than 2. We can also say 2 is therefore less than x. The symmetrical property of inequality. So there's only 2 ways to flip: multiplying or dividing by any negative number. The second is by the symmetrical property of inequality. We're allowed to switch the whole equation and flip it.